Hi guys, and welcome back. This week we are looking at Denman's Garden, and this was a garden created by two people, Joyce Robinson and John Brookes. John Brookes you'll probably know because he's a famous landscape designer and has written a lot of books and has had quite a bit of notoriety around the world. So we rented the property. It's open pretty much all week at certain times. I've listed the times there, and not too expensive to get in, about £9. The little key code, and what happens is you open up the gate and you start off in this part here, which is what's called the walled garden. Other places to take note of is the main house, and then that part there is the clock tower where John Brookes had his school for landscape design. So the walled garden it starts off with a lot of gravel, and gravel has been incorporated in this garden quite extensively. And this is what's called an olive jar, and it's one of the sort of feature focal points for John Brookes's gardens, and he uses ornamentation really well. So the planting was like I said, it was designed and created by two people, Joyce Robinson, who from 1948 with her husband bought this property, and then they sort of gardened it, and then later on John Brookes also decided that he liked the garden, and he added his own flair and his own touches, especially this garden. A lot of these gardens have been redesigned and added to and have evolved over the years. So as we come to the end of the gravel garden, we go into the next part, which is called the Meadow Garden. And Meadow Gardens are pretty popular in the UK. I've got a kind of mixed feeling about them. On the positive side, what they do is they create two sort of shapes, so you can have longer grass and shorter grass, creating a sort of shaped pathway, and then the longer meadow grass can form its own shape. My only issue with that is when the long grass gets a little bit long, it can get a little bit unruly and look a bit messy. So it's a little bit of a balance, and of course you need lots of those plants in. One of the other things that Joyce Robinson was very keen on doing was creating these riverbeds of stone, sort of natural dry riverbeds, and they're sort of on the other side there, which we'll have a look at later. So we're heading down the garden now, and we're going through a little sort of shaded area, and we're going to come out into the pond area. And the pond area was one of my favourite parts to the garden. It was installed by Anthony Wills, a famous pool designer, and also Brookes, and that was a really nice statue. I think that really sets off the statue there, and it's just a simple, nice, irregular shaped pond, but it works really well at the bottom of the two dry riverbeds. And the current, then as you can see, that sort of statue really sort of sets it off, and you've got various plants around there like the gunneras and things like that. Now the present owner is this lady here, which is Gwendolyn, and I had a good talk to her. It's quite interesting when you walk around the garden, you meet people. I didn't know who she was, and then she's the current owner of the property, and she also worked with John Brookes on a project in New York, so she's a landscaper designer as well. Now we're coming up, we've gone down to the bottom of the garden, now we're sort of coming back up, and this goes through the Acer Walk, and you can see lots of nice planting combinations. And a big feature of a lot of these gardens now, which John Brookes put in, is these blue benches, these blue seats, and they really sort of pop and really stand out. I thought they looked really good. So this is called the Nut Walk. I think there's various nut trees in here. And there again, there's another one of those blue benches. There was a lot of ornamentation too. Looked like they were doing a lot of display of sculptures and things around the garden, most of them sort of painted in the bright blue. Coming back up now to the top garden, the South Lawn Cottage Garden. So you can see that's the sort of cottage, the main cottage, and again a lot of use of gravel. And the gravel is kind of like an orangey sort of colour, and it sort of complements the brick. But this was a quite nice little pond water feature at the top, and just a nice way to sort of spill water over into the circular pond. And of course a lot of the shapes are curving and they do blend in really well. So again, it has evolved over the time. Sometimes in the past it's had sort of more straight lines, and now it's evolving. Another olive jar, and again another popular feature of John Brookes gardens is these clipped buxus balls. You can see that it's sort of clipped, and it just gives you that sort of more structured sort of shape to the plant. Again, so a lot of ornamentation around the garden, which makes it interesting. These nice sort of Cape Cod chairs there. You can sort of, I just wanted to see what sort of view you would get, and you get a nice view of the garden looking down. So this is towards the cottage, towards the house. You get a more kind of ornamental planting. Further away from the plant, it sort of goes into more of a natural planting. These are the glass houses. These are aluminium glass houses, so they replaced the old glass houses that were there, and really quite nice. And then in here, the main feature here I thought was this Brugmansia or Datura Charles Grimaldi, and obviously a nice place to sort of sit in the winter months. So this is going off more towards now the Clock House Garden, and like I said, this is where John Brookes did his design school, and this part he sort of had more to do with the planting and more of the sort of ornamentation and combinations in this part. Some beautiful dahlias there as we go past, and some hydrangeas, really nice combinations of plantings. And what I liked about this garden is obviously being a famous and landscape designer, John Brookes has really added his personality in here. And these things like these little stone, I think they are geese or ducks, really just add to the fun of the garden and add that personality. John Brookes was a big advocate of the outside room and making sure you designed a garden that was fit for purpose, and also that sort of reflected the personality of the owner. Now in the distance there, just you can't quite see it, but you can see the Clock House Tower just through the building there. Originally it was installed by Lord Denman, and this is how it's got its name, through Lord Denman, and that was a water tower, I believe, which was later converted into a clock tower. But a really nice garden, not too expensive. It's only £9 to go around this garden, which I thought was great value. If you don't want to go around the garden, if you just want to see the nursery or the cafe, that is free. Again, some really nice combinations of plants here, clip boxes, and various, I think those are rudbeckias, but I'm not 100%. And then just nice natural grasses and feel to the garden as you walk through the paths. The garden did go into a bit of a disarray after when John Brookes was splitting up with his partner, and it has been brought back to life. So in 2018 it was opened and to the public again. So it does have a working nursery, and that's the cafe. We just had a nice bite to eat, and really well worth to visit this particular garden. I'm just going to leave you with a few snapshots of the garden, and like I said, it's a definite must on my list, and was probably one of the best gardens we saw in England.